Hey guys, it's Chris with Nichols Retirement Empire. Today I'm going to talk about something that is you can't avoid it today. This last week or two I haven't been making a lot of videos and stuff, but I'm going to make an attempt to address this situation that we have on the internet and on social media with each other. And of course it's not new, but it's something that has been brought further to light by the assassination last week of Charlie Kirk. So let's see if I can somehow address it in a way that makes some kind of sense. First of all, there's a lot of anger addressed at it. And I was going to title the video, Is It Okay to Be Angry? And yes, it is. It is okay to be angry, because a lot of people that are, and I'm going to say a lot of things here that are based on Christianity, they're rooted in Christianity. But a lot of people look at it and go, well, anger is a sin, you're not supposed to. But the Bible does say that you can be angry and sin not. So it is possible to be angry. It talks about God being angry about things and stuff like that. So anger is a human emotion. We can't avoid it. And you can say, well, I never get angry, but that would just make you somebody that gets angry and a liar, because everybody gets angry unless you just don't have normal emotions. So getting angry is okay, but what is not okay, regardless of what side you're on or what you think, what is not okay is acting on that anger. Okay? That is the point where it becomes a sinful act or a wrong act. And part of acting on that is hate. It could be physical violence. It could be anything like that. But in general, for most people, they don't, it kind of settles into hate. And then it might also settle into situations where they say things that are wrong to each other, or they get in arguments, or things like that, which is wrong. So let's kind of address that and just talk about that, because hate is the root of all these things. And a lot of people will look at it and they go, well, I don't, especially people that are Christians, you'll hear this, well, it's okay to hate sin. And so what these people did, because what happened is when he was killed, all these people that thought that he was bad and that he was wrong and that he was hateful and that he deserved it and all these kind of things came on the internet and made all these comments about how he deserved it, and he just all these hateful, horrible things. And that's evil, and that's hateful, and that's wrong, and that's sinful. All those things are wrong. Those people are wrong for reacting the way they did and for being so full of hate. Now, the people that saw all this, because you can't avoid seeing it. It's all over the place. So the people that see it, will use that as it's like, look what they're saying. This is horrible. And they get angry. And then they turn around and, being angry is fine. And being upset is fine. And all those things, those are not wrong. But then when all these people did all these things and said all these things, then you start seeing all these situations where they've lost their jobs. They got fired. They're on there, they're crying, because how am I going to provide for my family? I can't believe this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the people that look at it and they go, well, they deserve that. I mean, look at them. They are the kind of person that obviously hates Charlie Kirk. You can tell by the way they're dressed. You can tell by the way they look. They're full of hate. They're horrible people. They deserve this. And what is so hard not to do when you see it, and I'll find myself doing it, is I'll look at it and I'll say, well, and you'll see what they said, the comment they made, and it'll be like, well, they deserved it. And when you start looking at it and you start getting pleasure from that person's misery, that person's payment that they're having to make for their behavior, that person's demise, that person's misery, when you find pleasure in that, that's hate. When you turn this into hate, and it is so difficult. Like, you'll have Christians, it's like I said, I hate the sin, but I love the sinner. I love all the people, and that, I mean, there's a lot of people, they throw that phrase out there, but I'm gonna tell you, it is hard to separate the sin from the person committing the act. It just is. And then there are people like, well, I don't hate people, I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling you what the Bible says, or I'm just telling you what the preacher said. This is just the truth. I'm just spreading the truth. And it's not, that's not wrong. Well, when you're doing it to hurt other people, or you're doing it taking pleasure in what has happened to other people, or you're doing it to try to make fun of them, or whatever it is, that's hate. That's not just bringing light into the world and letting people know the truth. It's hurting. You're trying to hurt. You're trying to embarrass. You're trying to shame. You're trying to, and people think, they look at it and they're like, well, it's just righteous. It's righteous indignation, righteous anger, righteous. Well, here's who righteous anger is for. It's for God, because God is righteous and we're not righteous. We can't have righteous indignation, because you have to be right. You have to be sinless. And the only person that was ever sinless was Jesus. And as hard as it is to believe, he lived his life without anger, without getting, he did get angry. He lived his life without hate. And he lived his life without, he was the only person that's ever been able to do this. And we act like we can just do it. But I'm telling you, when you throw yourself into that situation and you feel like you got to open your mouth and you feel like it, chances are you're not going to be able to do it in a way to avoid causing yourself sin, causing yourself hatred, causing yourself, it's just so hard to do, because we're just wired. We're wired that way. We're wired to do it. And then what makes it even more problematic is that all this is being done on a platform that is set up basically, like, if you believe in spiritual warfare, if you believe that there's good and evil on the planet, and that the devil and Satan's a real thing and all this kind of stuff, and he has power in the world. One of the most powerful things he's got is the internet and the algorithm. It is set up to draw you in. It is set up to get you involved, because political violence is nothing new. That's been going on in the United States. I mean, the foundation of the United States is political violence. We got started by committing political violence. We've had assassinations. We've had, people beat each other senseless on the floor of Congress back in the 1850s. We've had a civil war. We've had, social unrest through decades and decades, throughout American history. This is nothing that is new. Okay? Differences of opinion, extreme differences of opinion. It's nothing new, but what is new is having social media involved in it. Because what happens is you have this platform where in the past, if I had some kind of extremist view, I would have to go somewhere, stand on a street corner in a protest or something like that, express my view out in the public to other people, that if I could get anybody to stop and listen to me. And then we could get, or I could do it like everywhere I went. I could do it at the restaurant, I could do it at church, I could do it at school. And then if somebody disagreed with me enough, we might get into an argument and have some kind of, discourse where, we're yelling at each other and screaming and, using profanity and all this kind of stuff. That's the way it used to be. If I was so extreme and I felt like I needed to express my opinion so much, I would have to seek out people to do that with. Or I could do it at home and fight with my family and argue with my family. I mean, whatever. But now, the way social media is set up, all I have to do is go on there, throw up some meme or make some kind of comment, and have hundreds of people that are of the opposite view of me come on, call me every name in the book. I could argue with them all day long, hours upon end, person after person after person, and we could just hate each other and call each other the worst things and say all these things and do all this stuff, and we could do it all day long, and the algorithm would encourage it. Like if you come on and you make a video and it is the most reasonable, level-headed video that has the answers to all of our problems in a very reasonable, calm, normal way of explaining what the problems are, what we can do, it wouldn't go viral, because that's not what social media is trying to. What would go viral if you come on there and you say something insane, something crazy, because that's what people will stop and they'll look at and they'll think, what did that guy say? And they'll stop and they'll click on it and they'll listen. And then when you stop and you click on it and you listen, then the algorithm goes, oh, they're interested in that. Let's show them another one. And let's show them another one. And you click on that, let's show them another one. Let's show them another one. It just feeds it. It just feeds it. Whatever it is, has spiked your curiosity. It's gonna just keep driving that thought home. It is literally like it is a brainwashing machine. And if you don't know the truth, you don't understand what's right and wrong, and being able to look at things and think, that's fake, or that's not real, or that's not accurate, that kind of thing. If you don't have enough knowledge, then it could tell you all kind of crazy. It could tell you anything, just insane stuff, and you'll hear it. Next thing you know, you'll believe it. And you guys can say, well, that's not, I'm not like that. But I can promise you, man, there's people a lot smarter than me and a lot smarter than you that have become radicalized, that have become convinced of certain viewpoints that are completely and totally false, that have been, you're up against, and you might say, well, Chris, that's a little extreme. No, you're up against a brainwashing machine, a brainwashing system, and that will never stop. It will never stop. And you've got to actively make sure that it does not happen to you. Okay? That's what you have to be able to do as an individual. Because what has happened is our society has become more and more extreme. Because we just get fed what it is that, whatever tendency we have. If we tend to be a conservative, we get fed more and more and more extremist conservative things. If we tend to be liberal, we get fed more and more extremely liberal things. And it's caused society to become more polarized, to become more extremist to the left or more extremist to the right. And so what happens is because of our, whatever, political discourse. You can say that, or you can say whatever you want to say. The problem is that we hate. We spread hate. We hate each other. And you know, the Bible plainly says that you're supposed to love one another. And it doesn't say love everybody except this guy, or love. We're supposed to love everybody. And people that are Christians, we also become involved in hate because we can't help it. We're humans. We can't help but hate when we see things that are so evil and so bad, and people say these things, and we look at it and but you can't become involved in that. You can't spread it. You can't. I mean, like Jesus on the cross, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. He did not do that. And it's very easy to go from I'm upset and angry at these people that said these horrible things, and end up having a meme with a noose on it around somebody's neck that said the opposite of what you did. Or saying, I hope they get put in front of the firing squad. I hope you blah, blah, blah. I'm glad they lost their job. I'm glad, when you get to that extreme, you've fallen into this. You've been taken in by the algorithm. You've been taken in by the enemy. You have become a participant in the very thing that caused this to happen to start with. So the only thing that you can do as an individual, whether you're a Christian, not a Christian, whatever, the only thing you can do as an individual is to control yourself and what you do. And one thing you could do is not fall into this. I'm just going to watch this over and over and over again and get myself, I'm not saying ignore things, but I'm saying you have to be aware that if I start looking at something, it's going to feed this. And I don't need to, I get the point. I see what's going on. You don't need to go down that rabbit hole. The other thing that you can do is control what you say. You don't have to go on there and make some kind of comment. You don't have to if there's an argument going on and it's stretched over 2 or 3 pages of people going back and forth, and here's what I think, and here's what I think, here's what I think, and and you're this and you're that, and they're calling each other names. Don't get on there and get involved in that. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. You're not going to change their mind. It's not, these people are online. They're online. Some of them may not even be people. Some of it may be AI. You don't even know. You don't know who this person is. You have no idea why this is happening. Is this a person that's trying to get a bunch of views? Is this a person that's just trying to draw people in so that they can make money, so that they can get clean? You don't know. You don't know who it is. Save yourself the anguish and the pain and the involvement. And if you want to get involved on a real level of, something that actually can help people. Don't get involved out of hate. Anything that you join out of hate, or that you do out of hate, is wrong. It's not going to turn out the way you want. It's not going to help the situation. It's not going to right the situation. It's not going to avenge anything. None of it is going to do any good whatsoever if it's done out of hate. It's just not. Now, I'm not talking about, where you can't defend yourself and you can't speak the truth and you can't, but I'm talking about doing it in a way that is sensible, doing it in a place where it is the right place and the right time, doing it in a way that's respectful, doing it in a way where you are educated and you know what you're talking about. and it's a way that, or something that helps build people up, or something that is positive, anything else, any other involvement that you have in anything like that, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting other people. You've got to be able to stay somewhere in the middle of the road, be somewhat reasonable, and don't let yourself hate. You can be angry all you want. Be angry all you want. But what you do with that anger is the difference between whether or not you're going to end up getting some kind of result, or being at peace with yourself, or being at peace with other people. Because when you act on it, once those actions take place, you can't take them back. So my advice to you is to stay off the social media platforms. If you can't keep your mouth shut, and you can't, rise above it, you're gonna be sorry you didn't. And there's a lot of people now that have said things, they can't take them back. They hate each other, they're mad at each other, they've lost their jobs, they've done all these things. Now they're gonna spend the rest of their life being miserable over this period of time because they didn't have enough self-control to just ride something out, be patient, see how things play out, develop a way to deal with it that makes sense, and then act on that, and not just lash out and be mad. I hope this helps somebody. You guys have a good day.